All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. Eric Milch from Dealer Teamwork on another Dealer Teamwork interviews session. And I am joined today by a longtime, good close friend. Hopefully everybody already knows him, Brent Wees.
Hey, Eric.
Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for inviting me finally to your interview session.
Dealer Teamwork. By the time by the time this comes out, you will have been maybe within the first 5. Yeah, actually probably the first 4.
Really? It took you long enough just to get us set on a time in the last 48 hours. So I'm just thinking by the time you actually edit this, we'll possibly both be dead.
Well, the good thing is that you were early. And the other thing is, by the time this comes out and people see this, we haven't been really vocal about this. We wanted to just, we wanted to do a couple things. Obviously, everybody's talking about how everything changes right now and we got to do things a little differently.
Why? What's going on?
Well, I know things are completely different up there in Canada. So you guys are completely oblivious to what's happening.
It's just still cold up here. That's all we really worry about right now. That's it.
It's still snowing up there as well. Well, it's actually snowed here today too. So,
yeah.
Well, anyways, Brent, we've been friends for a long, long time. I always had a lot of respect for you. Appreciate you coming on. What's going on with you, man? Tell everybody what's happening with you.
Well,
so much.
I had pizza for lunch.
And that's it
so far.
That's the interview.
That's my Friday. No, as some people know, I've been consulting on a bunch of different projects. I gave my little consultancy a name: Idea Meet Plan, and it really just kind of sums up how I tend to fall into projects. Someone will approach me with an idea they have around something. We meet on it, and then all of a sudden, plans unfold based on what we're talking about. And I was last with Clint Burns and the guys with Next Up for a few years, doing some marketing direction for them. Then I took them on, so I flipped the model, took them on as a client, kept sort of doing what I was doing with them all along. But then I've taken on a series of different clients, which has been really interesting. One of which is a mobility company out of California, which deals with special needs student transportation, which is so completely still dealing with vehicles, and but some really cool things that they're doing for kids that need a lot of help and need a lot of transportation services to get them back and forth to school. So I've been working with that company out of California to broaden their marketing horizons. Like they've been entrenched in the industry for so long. They were sort of first out of the gates with it 12 or so years ago. They've never had a need for marketing strategy, and now they do. So I've been working with them on numerous things, brand print campaigns and new websites and different things, working with a couple of associations up here, mainly doing educational strategy for their events, for their conferences and for their shows, working with my good friend Alyssa, with Digital Dealer. So I've been working behind the scenes a little bit recently with Digital Dealer on some educational strategy with them, which has been a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to, things getting back to normal so we can roll out some really cool things that we've been doing behind the scenes, and, without, and even maybe some of the things we're going to try to get done this summer. It's going to be neat. So again, and then working with a bunch of small startups, automotive tech startups, working with QQuote, a really cool tire application up here made by Andy Dalrymple. And it's neat working with him. He actually he worked for NASA. So he built both Canada arms, and he's now working in automotive tech. He retired out of NASA stuff and rebuilt some tech. He's he's a rocket scientist. Like, he's got a more formal name, but that's what he is. So he's got some cool stuff. And then I'm quietly building a proof of concept product that's my project that I hopefully will have out by the fall. So there's lots of stuff happening, and but yeah, a lot of strategic work.
Well, good for you. I've always been impressed with the quality and the work that you do.
Thank you.
When I first met you, you had your agency.
That's right, Dashboard. Barry.
Up in Toronto, and for those who don't know, Brent is up in Toronto, Canada, and he had the agency, and remember you doing some real fun stuff there, and just you were always doing some real cool creative stuff. Then you
Mm.
sold that, right? And then you moved on to, was Next Up right after the agency?
Well, no, yeah, Dashboard. Like, so Barry Hillier and I, Barry started Dashboard, and I was employee number one there 20 odd years ago. We built it up, and Dashboard was an automotive, not an automotive. It was a digital, just a digital only strategic uh, agency. And Barry's background, Saatchi and Saatchi. I was doing some different sort of micro, really boutique agency stuff. So we joined forces, and we worked on everything from Axe body spray to Hellman's to Vaseline intensive care products. We rebranded ING Direct to Tangerine. Worked on Sunlight laundry detergents.
Wow.
We were one of the first agencies ever to work on the Facebook development platform when they first opened that up. We did a lot of early, like, everyone knows what retargeting is, but we were actually one of the first agencies to actually place that cookie, like that technology, on client sites. So we were working with the Ontario Toyota dealers and Toyota, and we worked with Nissan. And so we had this really vast, like food and packaged goods, finance, entertainment, automotive. And we started seeing, so what we did with Dashboard, which was interesting, was when everyone was sort of moving into making their agencies sort of tighter and smaller, we were already a boutique agency. We pivoted out into an incubator. So we started making Glovebox, the website product, Bumper, Steve Southern's amazing product, Rev Ups and things like that. So that's after we started basically just focusing the shop on software development and ideation. That's shortly after we sold it. And then I moved over to Next.
That's great. Yeah, you've always been, like you say, you've always been fascinating in how you've been involved with those types of projects and the success with all of those. So that's neat. You've got such a storied experience to tell from that. And that's the other part I want to talk about, the ability, the knack that you've always had to actually tell that story, and the way that you do it. You've got that, you've got that panache about you,
That charisma.
The je ne sais quoi, whatever you want to call it. You've always been able to do that. So
Thank you.
one question I got to ask is, so for a long time you built your brand,
Sure.
you had your presence,
okay,
and a lot of people knew you for the hat.
Ugh.
And then all of a sudden, one day, there's no hat. So what happened there?
No,
so
the hat.
Why the change?
Okay, well, the hat was accidental branding from the get-go.
Was it a bad hair day? You put it on, and then you just
no. It's just I always loved hats and pork pie hats, and so as the story goes, I really love I love the punk scene. I've always loved punk music. Always loved ska music, like old rocksteady ska bands like the Slackers and Hepcat and things like that. Not the ska punk stuff, but more the classic stuff, Specials, the Selector, things like that. And so in the early days of social media, when you had to put a profile picture up, I just had this picture of it, like a profile picture of me, and I had a striped pork pie hat on, and I thought nothing of it. And I remember it was early in my days of like blogging and writing about automotive and social media and marketing and things like that. So I started being asked to come down to a couple of conferences. And I remember one night I think it was a digital dealer at the Mirage. And I remember someone back in Toronto was like, "Hey, Brent, we need this." I had to write up some concept piece or something for the agency. And because I'm 3 hours behind, I was like, shit, I gotta stay up late and work on this. And I was like bone tired, stayed up really late. But then after I was done, I sent it over and I was like wide awake. So I was like, okay, and now I have to go unwind again. So I thought I'll maybe go downstairs and play some cards. I'm not a gambler. Like I don't play cards. I understand how to play blackjack. So I said, okay, I'll go play some blackjack. So I sat down at this empty table. It's me, it's a dealer, and it's like, three other people, two of which are a couple. And while I'm sitting there at the table, the couple keeps whispering. They keep kind of looking at me, and I can see out of the corner of my eye they're looking at me. And I'm thinking, am I going to get some sort of indecent proposal, Robert Redford movie thing happen? Like, because it's Vegas and people are weird. Because I can see, like, why are they looking at me? And finally the girl goes, "Hey, you're that Canadian guy that blogs about automotive social media and stuff."
That's cool.
Right. And I was like, "Oh," and she goes, "Yeah, I thought it was you, but where's your hat?" And I was like, "Oh," they clicked in. I'm like, "Oh, and the profile picture." She goes, "Yeah, you got that profile picture with the hat." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't bring it." And it was the first time I ever met Bill Playford. Like I was talking to Playford, but we met. I remember that show because I think that's where Bill and I actually got to like meet in real life and like hang out. And as I walked up the hall to meet him, that's the first thing out of Playford's mouth was, "Hey, where's your hat?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess people are stuck on the hat." So I just started. I had at the time probably a dozen or so at my house. Yeah, I just buy them and keep them around, and so yeah, they become part of the brand. But I don't like. How do I want to say it? I don't feel it's a brand. I don't feel the hat's a brand. I think it's set dressing.
Sure.
Like, this is a toque because I got hockey hair bad right now. Like I have so much freaking hair, but it's not the brand. Like, and I'll preface it this way with you. What's a brand? Why do you buy like Apple products? Like why do you use something you use?
Oh, it's typically because of the quality and the what it solves for me,
Right.
things like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I see your point. A
So
lot of dealerships will do that too with their logo. Maybe they have a shark or
yeah, they're just figuring it out. And I remember somewhere, and where I'm going with that is one night I didn't have my hat on, and a very inebriated friend of ours, I was talking to a delegation of like Dutch dealers that Paul de Vries was introducing me to, and this person came over and just kept like, "Where's your hat? Where's your hat?" And I just said, I'm trying to take a break from the hats right now. And they said, "But it's your brand." And I said, "It's not my brand, because if you look at my body of work, that should speak for what my brand is and what I bring to the table." It's like you were talking about, and you were very nice to say those things at the start of this interview. Was it's the work. It's not what you wear or what's on your fucking head. It's that's set dressing. It's not the work. It's the work, right? It's the work. I don't, like I don't look at people. I don't look at people as professionals and subject matter experts based on. I don't look at their brand as what they wear, right? I don't look at, like what Bill Playford's brand is his body of work. Lisa Copeland's brand is the things you worked on. You're like, yeah, Lisa's got, there's brand elements about Lisa that, she's got a look and a feel that she always comes out with. And I guess all of us have, if we're speaking and doing things like that, there's part of it is those additional pieces that go on. Things you wear, things you're comfortable in, things you like wearing, things that sort of express what you are. But the hat isn't the center point of the brand. And if that is the center point of my brand, then the rest is vaporware. If that's the strongest part of my brand, then I'm in real fucking trouble. So
that's what I was going to say. If that's all that you're known for, and if that's all that people associate, then
that's
you
kind
probably,
of a sad.
yeah, you probably haven't. One may not have done as good enough a job as they could have on the quality or the recognition, or if anything, maybe that's just a telltale sign of just the superficial nature of the social relationships that exist as well. They just see
Yeah.
that limits at that, and people think, oh, we're friends now. It's like, honestly, if you think we're really good friends based off the fact that I wear a goofy hat every once in a while, again, you're maybe missing the bigger picture. But I think there's a great message to that as well in terms of what is the brand, in terms of a tactic and an overall strategy. But I think that's great. That's a great way to put it.
There's lots of things about the brand, right? There's marks and there's things that sort of stand the test of time. Like, of course, brands like Apple and Nike and those things, they'll create iconic visuals to go along with it, but we use those products because of the quality of them, because of the trustworthiness of it, because they deliver, right?
So speaking of that, though, in terms of the brands, what do you think is the opportunity for the automotive market in terms of those brands that are, the dealership brand? How could they use this now as an opportunity to strengthen their brand? Have you seen anything, or you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, I know that, different, our friend Joe was looking for videos, right? He's writing something or working on something where he was looking at like, what are dealers doing from a video point of view to communicate to their customers right now? Like, what are they putting in place? So, geez, for dealers, it's a different thing. Like, it's not, it just goes back to the age old thing with, especially with dealerships and being a business is, the thing that's always going to solidify that dealership's brand more than anything else is like a true holistic commitment to their customer experience, right? And so you can say it all day long, and we know it. And I think everyone's guilty of this. Everyone can say, like, I'm doing a really good job, but are they? But in fact, are you really covering all your bases? Are you doing the absolute best you can in all your capacities as a business, especially in such a customer centric? Because if how many dealers have said, or how many people, and I'm not even going to bag on dealers here, because like, everybody does it. Like, everyone goes, we're in a people business, or we're this together, or we're that together, or we're this together. And it's like, the people are still dicks. And, maybe you'll have to beep that out, but just, we're human beings. We're flawed things, and we don't always deliver all these amazing things we say we're going to do every day, or we're like, nattering about people or customers, or, again, it's just, you can ask it any business any day. It's like, you'll have a great day, and then the next day, any number of things will impede your business from just delivering the best it can. And I guess for service focused businesses like automotive, it's not about what the logo looks like, but it's like, how clean is the store? How polite are your people? How focused are they at making sure that everyone feels like that they're the most special customer that walked in there that day? And again, it's this weird thing that there's so much you can do right now to perpetuate a brand, like online and through creative efforts and storytelling and all this. But I think it gets down to bare bones right now. Just almost tell people kind of flat out, here's what we're going to try to deliver right now. And again, my take on over talking about like COVID strategies, but okay, if right now we've got some states that are open, some states that aren't, some provinces are open, some aren't, like, everyone's got a different aspect. But I think it's just not overcomplicating that message of, here's exactly what we're going to do right now, like, and try to do every day to the best of our capabilities. And you know what, and I think for the dealers right now, it's okay to not to overpromise it, and actually say, we're ironing out a lot of wrinkles right now. So this may not be perfect couple first times out of the gate. Like, I was talking to a Toyota dealer I know, Dave, kind of like, hey, I think we're kind of hitting our stride with our service base. People are getting the drop-off thing. And 2 days ago, that was great. Yesterday, everything blew up on them. And it's just one thing falling apart. But then but people get grumpy and people get tense. And so I think it's just just tell your customers too, like, we're still figuring a lot of stuff out, but we're going to work really hard trying to do it to the best of our ability. And I think it's such a strong branding thing.
I think it's an opportunity at the same time. Imagine if you just stopped, when the customers, when the situation happens, and to respond to it with literally, instead of being able to say, yeah, this is how we do it now, and this is our new process. Imagine if more and more of the dealers, and I hope they're doing this, where they're just simply stopping and saying, what would you like us to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the dealer, that customer might come back with, just think, one customer could give a recommendation that could spread like wildfire throughout the industry in terms of,
Sure.
We didn't come up with this, but our customer feedback was just, you do this, and it made so much sense. We can do it. We can scale it. We can, it pencils out, whatever, just that's the way that they should be thinking, everybody know, I know a lot of people are at least at this point where they're saying, you know what, we have to make this change, and we're finally forced to. But again, unfortunately, like you said, we don't have the answers. We haven't gone through it. Maybe they haven't sat through enough COVID response webinars, but maybe
you can never sit through enough COVID response webinars. I think the minimum you should sit through is 5 or 6 a day, just to make sure that
Well, there are that many, so you have plenty.
I think there's more than that. I think part of it too is, I just think there's just needs to be a candor and an honesty to just say, like, we're working really hard to figure this out, but we're not going to be masters of every, like we're figuring stuff out. Like we're
Well,
not.
I think here's a great example. Okay, we got what? We're approaching 20 million unemployed in the United States. I think.
Yeah, 22.
What do the numbers look like up for you in your province?
Right now in Ontario, pop and I'll look it up.
Yeah, but
I'll
those,
Google it, but
you know,
it's just high up here too, right?
so the point is, dealers are probably going to have to deal with quite a few people, unfortunately, that need to sell their car, and just that, that interaction,
Yeah,
it has to be a little bit different than it used to be, probably because of the sheer volume of that. And so, just the, almost, call it sensitivity training type of thing, just in terms
right.
of the empathy that needs to be shared and given on that type of that call and that that experience for the customer. Because if and when, how long things takes to turn around, let's say that customer then does wind up getting a job,
Mm.
there's the opportunity to build a relationship on what could be construed as perceived as a very negative event for that person in their life, having to get rid of the car. But still, what if they can do more with that? That's where I'm saying this whole scenario is just creating those type of opportunities to solve different types of problems that we haven't had before. So I think
It's making us a different animal too, right? Like, so 1 million jobs last month we lost in Canada. So as the parity of populations go, it's
yeah,
about on pace, right? Like we're 26 to 25 times bigger than we are, whatever,
right.
double it and add 30. I've been telling, I don't know. I'm not going to get in that kind of math, but you're right. I think this has always been such an aggressive industry, right? Because manufacturers set aggressive targets, management sets aggressive goals for their staff, right? And it's just savage, right? Like get out there and sell as hard and as fast as you can. And I think you've got to take you've got to approach this with a lot more empathy, right? It's what you guys helped me share in that article. It's just when you got 22 million people unemployed, you got millions up here unemployed, and different stresses of even just like where surplus money's coming from, and different things. It's I think Joe put it really well in that article. Joe Webb was just like, go just work your customer database and see where you can be of help to them in some way. And why I say that is I sometimes I see communications that really stand out to me, and they stand out because they're not trying to retail anything. Shoppers Drug Marts are a big pharmacy chain up here, like our Walgreens.
Mm-hmm.
They sent out, their weekly email, and usually it's like, shop today, get 20 times your points on this or that. They sent out an email that was 2 blocks, blue up top, green at the bottom, and the top said, we have mental health counselors and personnel if you're feeling that you need someone to talk to. Like we're working with the mental health community in Canada to make sure that our customers know there's someone there. Ask us about how you can be connected to someone if this whole thing is freaking you out. And then on the bottom they said, we have physicians in store, right? If you need to talk to someone, you can come in store, and that was what their weekly flyer was we've got physicians you can talk to and mental health personnel that you can talk to. That was their whole communication. And for me, that was like, that hit the nail on the head, because all they're saying is, we know everybody's in a weird place. I don't know if I'm sick. I don't know if I'm losing my mind. So, we can help you with that if you have no.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a real nice example. On that same note, you kind of hinted to this on a previous conversation we had. Share a little bit about what you're experiencing from the sponsorship side of things in terms of your communication and how this is affecting people with addictions, and how important these type of these video platforms are. Obviously the communication is, I mean, that's a major segment, obviously, of the population.
Sure.
I think people would be curious to hear what your take is on that.
Well, I think the onset of all of this has really pushed out with the onset, like with the amount of Zoom meetings and Hangouts and cocktail hours and just family meetings that are happening online, I think the one thing that this has made everyone stop and pause and remember to. It's funny because it's a reconnection of the human element based on the fact that we all have to isolate, and it's just like, let's get on face to face. I know, when we did one a little, a little while back there, that Friday afternoon, it was just, I remember one of us on that hangout said like, wow, I'm really glad we did that. It was just nice to see everybody. And I think sometimes we get so busy and so caught up in faces in our own devices that we forget that there's actually a connected world out there. And thank goodness we have this right now, because could you imagine this without these, right? Like, when we were, like we said, when we were if this dropped when we were teenagers, this was effed up, like huge, right? So we're very, very lucky. And I think the mindfulness piece we have to take from this is that try to get to do that one thing different every day and reach out to someone maybe you haven't reached out to. Maybe ask some people to get on a Zoom call just to see faces and connect. So in my other world, working with people, and myself as a recovering alcoholic, my home group got online. We figured out Zoom meetings. We got everyone on there because, in that, more so in that is addicts and alcoholics love to isolate, right? When they're active in their addictions, isolating is something they love to do. I'm just going to go off and do my thing, and I don't want anyone to bug me. So getting people together is actually keeping people sober, by using technology. Just because people are, you've already got a sensitive group of people who are either drying out or trying to kick something. And if they're early in sobriety, something like this can trigger a lot of relapses because it's an excuse, right? It's like, kick ass, there's a pandemic, I'm gonna hit the liquor store, right? And knowing like 25 years ago when I was out there, if something like this hit when I was early or trying to kick or whatever, I would have used this as an excuse all day to go out and just behave badly. And there's people I know that have slipped early on in this pandemic, like drank again or used again, just not a lot, but it's just those things where it's happened. And what was interesting with those people were, like, our home group was meeting twice a week online, midweek and on the weekend, and everybody who was having a lot of problems wasn't coming on the Zoom. Like, they weren't coming on the Zoom meetings, they were isolating again. And so it's telltale, right? Like, with that and with what we're doing, it's funny because people in my home group and people and addicts and alcoholics that I know are like, wow, this is really tough, being at home and doing this. And I said, what are you talking about? Like, we're the masters of isolating. We just have to do it sober now. And that's the reality of it, is there's nothing to sort of take you away from that. So the meetings have been crucial for people because because people in recovery, it's very social. There's people in recovery that hit several meetings a week. You go for coffee. Like, I got guys I sponsor, we're, usually by this time we're at my studio once a week doing book work and study work and, and different things. So it's a very social community that's been stopped. Right. But globally, there's been stuff in the recovery communities using Zoom and things. So it's a long-winded answer, but it's, even take the same approach, like a dealership could almost do this. It's like, you take that same like self-help approach where maybe you've got a subject matter expert and not someone on the vendor side, but someone like thinking about this is, if you've got a really sharp F&I manager who really understands how to refinance things and help people plan, like not just figure out their car payments or something like that, but has something where they can help people like actually manage personal finances, and they're really good at that. Like, reach out to your own customer base and say, we're just having like a Q&A. We've got like, Sheila has been a financial planner before working with us, and she's really good at debt consolidation and different things. Like, if you've got things and questions about how to plan better, like, we're going to Sheila's going to be on a Zoom for an hour. You can ask her anything, right? Like,
That's a fantastic idea. That's a great takeaway right there. And
there's just so many people at the dealership that can do that. So it's that, and all our AA meetings are online. Is just that, like, we throw a topic out there, we talk about it, or the chairperson is teed up on something. Okay, let's talk about this, because different people around the room have different experiences based on the topic, and they can share to it. And some of us have been around longer than others, so they look to us to go, well, what's your take on it, Brent? Like, you've been doing this for 25 years, and again, every day is different, but I think that's that same empathetic approach to this, right? It's what did I see? It was like just everyone's like, someone's saying, like, we shouldn't call it panic selling, panic this. We should just call it X. And I don't know. There's just we're missing a mindfulness, to your point about the fact that every single day, more and more people are becoming unemployed. More and more people are dealing with stresses and a real draw on their mental health. And we're just too busy going, we just got to figure out how to push finance deals through software. It's like, when, like, and I don't want to pick on this either, but, I was reading stuff that was pretty scary, that some of, like, there's these, our governments are trying to subsidize this crisis, with different things. Some things are working and other things aren't, because they're already running out of funds and different stuff. Like, there's lots of things to worry about right now, other than, what kind of new coupe am I going to get into, or what's my next mid-size SUV going to look like? Because that's really weighing on me. And I know some of the articles are like, oh, online traffic is way up. It's like, yeah, because you know what? I'm going to go look at cars right now because I just watched the news for an hour and I want to blow my brains out. Like, it's like, I'll look at anything right now just to take, and I stop watching the news. Like, I get a briefing email from our national news at the end of every day. I don't turn it on anymore, because you start ingesting that every day, right? But that's what I think our industry has to realize, is you have customers out there that are just chewing on this all day long, and they're freaking out. So come up with strategies and communications that can help them.
Well, I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I love everything you had to say today. It was just, yeah.
This is vodka, by the way.
But you've always got a different view. I wish more people would be able to, get things a little differently as well. And hopefully this is starting to force it. I think a good takeaway from a lot of what you said is, this is a time for the connections, and time to be able to reach out and, see who does need it. I'll tell you one real thing real quick. I heard a story of a dealer that was just simply reaching out to their elderly customers. And all he did was just ask them, you need anything? Can we go to the store for you?
Right.
Can we take you to the store? Whatever you need, we're here for you. Something like that, not selling anything, but, who knows what you lead to.
Yeah, here's another big idea, right? Like, everyone's got a shuttle driver. If you've got a couple of frontline workers that way, and you got a shuttle driver that's cool with doing delivery runs for, like you said, if you've got a subset of customers that are elderly and may need help, or you could talk to the different food banks or things in your community, or like the support people, to see, like, what can we throw some minivans at you, or can we our drivers haul shit around for you? I don't know what it is, but there's so many different sort of non-sales related efforts that you can do. And I get it. Like, I know I'm a bleeding heart lefty Canadian socialist living up here in our, frozen utopia, but I want stuff open too. Like, I want businesses open. The sooner we're back, the better. But I also think that we have to be responsible and do things in order to, because once we get past it, let's get past it for good. Let's not rush to open things up, and then all of a sudden, again, this summer, we're like, shit, everyone's sick again, and we have to go back and do it all over again. Like, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to, I want to drive across the border and go see you and Susan, and go to conferences and hang out with my automotive friends and goof around, and, hang out at dealerships and come up with cool ideas. I can only entertain myself for so long.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's where I think the motivation in some cases might be misguided, because they're looking at a lot of businesses, not just automotive, but just some businesses in general. They're saying, what can we do a little different to drive business rather than rather than that approach, what problems are people experiencing that we can solve that could lead to business, or,
Could
down
lead to
the road.
business. Cause I want, yeah, cause I want them, I know, like I can't even imagine. I know you're a business owner and we have lots of friends who are business owners and they're sweating this out.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's a
And
moral and ethical.
what can we do? What can we do for and dealers and vendors alike? What can we do vice versa to each other to help move through this instead of just asking the usual questions? It's like,
Right.
what are things we can do to protect each other's best interests through this? Right.
Absolutely.
And it's tough, right? So we've got to be mindful too that there's a lot of people that have a lot riding on whether or not they're going to stay open. I know there's a local dealer here. He had a few rooftops, like everything's done. He's out, right? Like they're not going to, he's already a casualty of this. Like his business is already a casualty. That's something the dealers are sweating out. Small businesses are sweating out. Larger businesses are sweating out. So, like I said, I don't want to not say that, selling things is a bad idea, but like I said, there could be a different way of going around it where we're just, we're letting people know we can be counted on and helpful.
Right.
Yeah. Build that
Well,
brand.
good stuff, Brent. Again, always a pleasure to see you. Look forward to seeing you again when this is all over.
Good seeing you
And
too. And like I said, man, like your dome today is so clean and tight, and it's so nice that you don't have any hair because you just can shave it really quick.
it
Walk
does
out.
save me time.
When
It
you
does
have
save me
this
time.
much hair, like when you have as much hair as I do, I have to wash this and condition it every day, Eric. It's a struggle. But you're so lucky that you don't have any.
I am very lucky, Brent. Well, again, I appreciate it, man. You're the best. It's great to see you. Hope everything is well with your daughter and Lisa as well. And stay in touch
Yeah.
and keep it up, man. I look
Tell
forward to seeing more of this
tell
you're
Susan
doing.
I miss her. I'm coming to eat as soon as this is over. So I want to I'm gonna come in for like a 3-day feast at your place. I need some
We
Susan
will,
Mills cooking.
we'll gladly have you back down here, buddy. All
All
right,
right,
man.
bro.
Good to see you. And that's a
Thanks.
wrap for Teamwork Interviews and with our guest, Brent Wees from Canada. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.